We have a wonderful speaker today from the Chicago Lighthouse, but it is with a very heavy heart that our thought of the day today is in remembrance of Clint Krisloff. As many of our members know, we normally do a three bell ceremony, which we'll be doing on February 27th. Clint Krisloff was a wonderful lawyer, a wonderful member, and a great supporter of the Job One program. He passed away on February 1st, and the reason we are not having the three bell ceremony is also our members know we have a wonderful Woman of the Year program, in which last year Clint made it his total goal that we recognize Lisa Russ for all the work that she had done for that program. And so with that, Lisa is going to do his remembrance on the 27th because they were very close friends, and I wanted her to be able to have that that moment. But Clint was I didn't know him extremely well, but when I did get to speak to him, and when he was here at meetings, and when he did things with our Job One students, they were always so amazingly amazed at all the work he let them do. They went to depositions with him, and I used to love getting the phone calls that said, "Mrs. Williams, I went to a deposition. I can't tell you anything that we talked about, but it was amazing." And he really took our goals of our Job One program to heart, of making sure our students were mentored and actually had real hands-on work for him while they were with his company. And so it is, he will definitely be someone definitely missed. And there have not been services arrangements made by his family as of yet. When they are, we will let the membership know. And so with that, Janet Szlyk will be coming up to speak. Please honor everyone's time in keeping your questions succinct. One question per person. Those that are on Zoom, if you could please put your questions into the chat, and we will make sure that they are addressed. And with that, Andrew O'Connor will come up and introduce Janet.
Thank you, Alita, and good afternoon. Thank you. Dr. Janet Szlyk is the president and CEO of the Chicago Lighthouse, a 117-year-old non-for-profit helping people who are blind, visually impaired, disabled, and veterans build confidence and independence. Since joining the Lighthouse in 2008, Dr. Szlyk has led the organization through a period of tremendous growth, particularly through the development of a number of social business enterprises, which provide employment opportunities for clients and generate revenues to support the organization's 40 programs and services. During her tenure, Dr. Szlyk has also expanded the Lighthouse's social service programs, providing education, comprehensive vision care, independent living, employment services, and independent living skills training for clients of all ages. In addition, Dr. Szlyk has fostered a culture of innovation within the Lighthouse, which has led to projects such as serving as a data collection center for a clinical trial of the world's first wireless intracortical visual prosthesis. A little bit of, all right, thank you, come on. And the development of the Foglia Residences, a 76-unit income qualifying residential building for people with disabilities and veterans. The Foglia Residences, is that correct, Foglia? Perfect, awesome. 2 for 2. Is the first building in the United States designated specifically for people with visual impairments to be financed through the low-income housing tax credits. Prior to joining the Chicago Lighthouse, Dr. Szlyk served as a professor and director of a low vision research laboratory in the Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences at the University of Illinois Chicago, USC. She was a professor in the School of Psychology and Bioengineering departments, and was also a research career scientist within the U.S. Veteran Affairs Rehabilitation's Research and Development Service. She currently maintains an adjunct professor position in the Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences at UIC. A highly respected researcher and scientist in the field of low vision, Dr. Szlyk has authored and co-authored more than 100 publications covering topics ranging from brain imaging of macular degeneration to defining the vision requirements necessary for everyday tasks to subtyping inherited retinal disease and psychophysical methods. Dr. Szlyk earned a Bachelor of Arts at Brown University, a doctorate at Fordham University, and completed postdoctoral training at New York Lighthouse and the University of Illinois Chicago. Please, everyone, welcome Dr. Szlyk.
Just get settled. Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here, the opportunity to speak with you about some of the things that are going on at the Chicago Lighthouse that you may or may not know of. The Chicago Lighthouse is an iconic social service organization. It's the oldest social service organization in Chicago right now. We have a similar history to the Rotary. We began in 1906. And I know that Paul Harris founded the Rotary and Rotary One in 1905, and then the International Rotary in 1910. So we're right in there in 1906. We're going to be celebrating our 118th anniversary in May when we were incorporated. We were founded by a group of women led by Winona Hood, who is the wife of a prominent Chicago physician, and she and her friends pooled their clothing allowances to buy the contents of food and clothing baskets that were distributed throughout the city and along the city streets to people who are living in the streets who are affected by blindness, visual impairment, or other disabilities. They were able to eventually accumulate enough funds to purchase a building on the west side, close to where we are now in the Illinois Medical District, and they called it the Improvement Association for the Blind. And it's not really a PC name that would fly now, but it's the beginnings of an organization. And they hired the first female executive director, Edith Swift, and she was the daughter of George Bell Swift, who was a one-term mayor of Chicago, and during the late 1800s. She was with the Chicago Lighthouse for 29 years, and she was credited with building our industries program. And our industries program was what really provided the first employment opportunities for people who are blind or visually impaired. Those opportunities included traditional jobs for people who were blind, doing carpentry work, making brooms, and then later getting into the technology industry with developing and incorporating developing bundles of cables and computer telephone accoutrements for Western Electric. You remember Western Electric, which later was purchased by AT&T, became AT&T. So Western Electric was a large employer. We received a large contract, and that brought us into really the 60s and 70s. In the 70s, 1977, we began manufacturing wall clocks, and we still do at our location on Roosevelt Road in the Illinois Medical District. We have produced over 7 million clocks. They're found across the world with the Skillcraft brand or the Chicago Lighthouse brand. You can see either. Those are the two brands that we used to distribute clocks. We distribute them to and sell them to the federal government through the Ability One program, which allows the procurement from and actually encourages strongly the procurement from organizations that employ people with disabilities, including blindness. So that is our signature product. We have since developed other products that we also assemble and sell. And it's a large, significant industry that employs a large number of people. We also, in our industries program, have a contract management service where we close out contracts for the Department of the Army at Rock Island Arsenal. And then we have a facilities management program, janitorial services at Champaign Urbana, which is also one of our industries programs. We provide janitorial services at the CIRL Center, the Center for Engineering Research Laboratories. So we are spread throughout the state in our social enterprises. And I'll talk more about our social enterprises in a moment. But the social enterprises monies, any profits, go to the support of our social services. So we are indeed a self-sustaining organization. And this all has happened over the years, but has happened to a greater degree as a result of the recession. When I came on board at the Chicago Lighthouse, I thought, oh, the sky's the limit with opportunities. And this was in August of 2008. And then in the fall, we all know what happened. Everything tanked. And so the sky was no longer the limit. And I didn't want to be taking over an iconic organization, and it was not going down on my watch. So we had to come up with a way to sustain the organization, feed the social services, the 40 programs in educational efforts, employment, and vision rehabilitation, assistive technologies. We had to pay for all that because we never turn anyone away who is unable to pay. So how are we going to do this? So we came up with a concept. My COO at the time, Terry Longo, and we didn't know anything about customer care centers, but we started tracking through the RFP system for the state and identified a customer service opportunity and said, well, people who are blind can do this as long as the software is accessible. It's a great job. We can provide a living wage, and I think this would also sustain our programs. And so we received the first contract after bidding 3 times because they kept taking it down, for the Illinois Tollway. And we all use the Illinois Tollways and have a transponder. And so that transponder is what we manage in our customer service center for the Illinois Tollway. And that was our first contract. We've held it since 2012. So it's been continuously renewed. And so I think we're doing a pretty good job. I see that as a lesson that you can do anything at any point if you set your mind to it. Number one, track down the opportunity and hire a good consultant to teach you the business. Because I'm a vision scientist, and so I really didn't know much about contact centers, but I knew that I could write a grant and respond to an RFP. Since then, Kathy Stobrel has joined us. And Kathy, can you stand? She's our Chief Operating Officer, and she is my partner in the venture of building the Lighthouse further. We've grown now to 16 clients. We have 600 people who are answering phones and performing customer service for the Chicago Lighthouse, doing medical scheduling and billing and information and payment. We're in, if you think of it, in the payment industry and in the hospital industry. So those are our 2 major areas, still carrying on the legacy of the Lighthouse within our mission. 1/3 of our employees are blind, visually impaired, disabled, or veterans. So we are very mission driven, and we promote from within and launch careers. Right now, our entry level pay for an entry-level minimum wage position is $19 an hour, which is well above the city minimum wage of $15.80, and certainly above Cook County at $14 an hour. So all of our employees at every level have pension contributions, as well as generous paid time off, paid sick leave, of course, and it's a maternity leave as well, which Andrew was particularly interested in. So that's kind of an overall view of who we are as an organization and how we've come about from the history, and how, I always credit the community of Chicago and organizations that have supported each other. Kathy and I are Lions, and we are members of the first Chicago Central Lions Club, which is also the first. You're a Rotary one. We are Chicago Central Lions, and that was Melvin Jones's club, the founder of the Lions organization. And we had challenges with the Central Lions Club overall, and really have merged to a great degree with the Chicago Lighthouse, because I think, like the Rotary, Alita was telling me that we have suffered nationwide with an attrition of members. So we brought in a whole new set of members that were affiliated with the Lighthouse. And that has been a great support for the Lions Group as well. But I think it's so important to have that community support as an organization. And that's the secret to the Lighthouse's success, because we have a lot of volunteers. We have 4 affiliate groups. We have a board, main board that governs us, but we have a junior board of young professionals. We have a North Shore affiliate associate board of women who do a house and garden walk and support our children's programs. And then we have a close collaboration with the Service Club of Chicago, also an iconic organization that supports social services. They simply raise funds, have events to raise funds for social service organizations. So that's this gives you a glimpse into one of our call centers and our employees. The contact center is it says a unique blend of mission and business, because we're always keep to our mission. During the pandemic, we were all impacted. You didn't have a business that wasn't impacted, but we were so fortunate to have a business that was really pandemic proof, that people could work remotely. And thanks to the glory of Amazon Web Services and building desktops in the cloud, all of our employees went into remote work. And we are very fortunate to do that. The 40 programs, as I mentioned, that are supported by our social and enterprise include our education programs. We have a school for children who are medically fragile, who have multiple disabilities beyond blindness, many with autism. About a quarter of our children have autism, which is also concomitant to blindness in children. And then we have adult educational programs, and then seniors programs as well. We have the largest early intervention. So our teachers go into the homes and help the parents adapt to a child who is born blind. And that is supported by the Lighthouse largely through our philanthropy and social enterprise. Those are our low vision program, educational programs. We have the largest, most comprehensive low vision program in the country. It includes not only optometry, ophthalmology, and review and diagnosis of inherited retinal diseases, but it also provides occupational therapy, orientation, mobility, navigation skills, and assistive technology, the latest in assistive technology. And it also includes a research component. As Andrew introduced, the intracortical visual prosthetic is the first in the world. Elon Musk actually was misrepresented in the press, because we are the first implant to produce a percept for people who are blind, and light percepts. We call them phosphenes. And that is a collaboration with the Chicago Lighthouse, with the Illinois Institute of Technology, and Rush University, which implanted the neurosurgeons there, implanted the plates of electrodes that are stimulated wirelessly to produce a percept, so that a person can, the phosphenes or spots of light, coalesce and form figures. So the individual who's been implanted on Valentine's Day 2 years ago is able to perceive shapes and letters and orientation of people in a room, which is so important in business. So those kinds of projects are supported by our social enterprise. In addition, we have our industries, employment programs. We train people for jobs. We were just given the award of Employer of the Year in Cook County for on-the-job training across for-profit and nonprofit sectors. And this is mainly due to the opportunities in the call centers. Our services available include, as I mentioned, not only medical scheduling, that's a main niche, but also the payment industry, as reflected in Jet Pay is a payment option transactional center that we have, and as well as a majority of medical centers in the city of Chicago. So again, community support partnerships, seeing the need for support, given the need to have these services and to be self-sustaining. That appeals to some of our clients when we meet with them. We hire veterans. About 5% of our employees, currently we have 800 employees overall at the Lighthouse, and 5% of those individuals are veterans. Some of them are disabled, others are not, many with post-traumatic stress disorder. And they tell us that the opportunities that we give them and the employment opportunities distract them from some of the symptoms that are associated with PTSD. Facts about our workforce: 5%, I mentioned, of our contact center employees are veterans, 25% are blind, visually impaired, or disabled. And, when I always think of Chicago, how can we address the violence issue? Because although that's not specific for our mission, it's relevant for all of us in this city. I live in Chicago, and I don't know a person who hasn't been impacted by the violence in our city. So I see the Chicago Lighthouse as doing its job, right, Kathy, in offering opportunities, replacing bullets with jobs, and giving people opportunities to help them launch, whether they stay with the Chicago Lighthouse in a career and advance and move up the ladder, or are launched into other businesses, because we have a great network where if someone's interested in another business, we can refer them through our board. I'm going to sort of show you, I don't have a slide of it, but it gives you a representation of where our call center employees are recruited from. And it's mainly high representation on the south and west sides of Chicago. And this is critical. When you're given an opportunity, and given we have supportive scholarships for continuing education, and specific if it's related to your job, or scholarship programs for those with disabilities, it's important. Right now, the unemployment rate nationwide for people who are blind or visually impaired is 70%. For people who have disabilities, there are 60 million people in the country who can serve as a labor force. All of us, companies you see all over, see signs for help wanted. We need a labor force, and during the COVID, we were able to see that people with disabilities can work comfortably at home with remote jobs and serve as a significant labor force in our country. Our key metrics, we're always meeting our key metrics, which is consistent with the notion that our contracts are renewed. We've seen over 4.4 million calls we've answered annually. That's pretty much on average. 29 million minutes were represented by our call center last year. So there's a lot of time on the phone and a lot of contacts. And as the CEO, I think I'm the chief complaint officer. I have only received one complaint in 12 years for an employee, and plenty of emails, messages saying how great our employees are doing. They're able to do their job. You might be wondering, how is a person who is profoundly blind able to do the job? It's just they don't need a monitor, but we set monitors up in the customer care centers, and they have laptops at home, but they do it through screen readers. So it's a text-to-speech program where anything that's on the monitor is like a bird song in their ear at a high frequency that would just be gibberish to any of you who are not blind in the room, but it helps them navigate the screen as we would visually. And many of our employees have been blind since they were children or from birth, and they've been using these JAWS text-to-speech. They've been around a long time, so from an early age, a school age, and so this is just a second sense for them. So thankfully, our IT team worked with a company, Epic, which is the largest portal in the world for medical scheduling. Our IT team helped make Epic software, the portal, accessible to people who are totally blind. And so now people throughout the world, that goodwill and those opportunities exist globally. So much like the Rotary with the mission of spreading goodwill globally, that kind of good work spreads and has a strong social impact. So we're not only helping the employees of the Chicago Lighthouse, but people internationally. They use Braille keyboards, which are refreshable keyboards, which tell them also and orient them to the screen. So the braille changes, it's refreshable as a result of movement from left to right and top to bottom. And magnification devices for those who are not profoundly blind but have some residual vision, magnifies the text. And this is beyond the magnification that we have on standard software programs. A few of our current clients, Cook County Hospital, Advocate Healthcare, North Shore University Health System, which merged with Elmhurst Hospital and is now Endeavor, the Illinois Department of Human Rights. We just took on the hate crime line, which is so important right now. JetPay, as I mentioned, Near North Health, which is a series of medical clinics throughout the city, the Illinois Tollway, the University of Illinois Health System, and others. And so we're proud of our clients, and we are proud of our customer service agents with the low attrition rates and excellent service provided. So I think we just have time for questions.
Any questions?
Yes.
What percentage of your clients have multiple disabilities?
Excellent point. I know that, in our school, especially with our Children's Development Center, it's 100%. But in terms of the overall Lighthouse, I would say probably with the it's probably about 25% have, but I don't have an exact number. It's something that I will research when we get back, but just, Kathy, do you have any thoughts? Yeah, it's close. Because you see, and it could be psychological anxiety associated with blindness and vision loss and progressive vision loss, because many of our clients are losing their vision, and they come to us surprisingly not because of their blindness and adaptation to blindness, but they come primarily, the first reason, anxiety associated with losing their vision and depression. So that would be a concomitant secondary disability. Yes.
At one time, it was as high as 50% that had multiple disabilities.
For across the country?
For the Lighthouse.
For the Lighthouse. Well, we have right now, in terms of it, we have to always think in terms of our clients versus our employees, because some of our clients become employees through our job services program. But the people coming in as clients obviously have disabilities, and that would be the visual disability. So that would be 100%. The secondary disability is, what's in question here. But I think the Illinois has done an amazing job tackling the unemployment in the state of Illinois. As I mentioned, the unemployment rate nationwide is 70% for people who are blind, and close to that for people who have other disabilities. Many of the people with disabilities should drop out of the workforce. But, in terms of reducing those who may need services and launching people to careers may result in fewer people needing those services.
Okay, this is a question for you as a scientist. Did you ever were able to help a person who lost their vision at birth or soon after and never developed the neurological structures to decipher the visual input, but then regained the vision?
Yeah, as a scientist, that's a really, really interesting question, because for our intracortical visual prosthetic project, the requirement for inclusion was that the individual have vision for the first at least 10 years of life, because they have to have the brain architecture associated with identifying the signal and telling us what they're seeing. In terms of regaining vision, without having a visual brain, they won't have the same percept. So they would be, the other parts of the brain compensate for that visual loss, and the person becomes, the visual cortex becomes a tactile responsive area. So it's particularly sensitive to touch. The temporal area of the brain is hypersensitive. So in truth, people who are blind have better hearing acuity because a greater portion of the brain is associated with hearing. So there are a multitude of studies now showing that hypersensitivity. A person who is blind is not cognitively deficient. It's just their brain is reoriented and restructured to be sensitive to different signals. That's an excellent point. So just because you don't have the wiring, you have wiring that's more advantageous in other areas. Kath?
I think, I get, you asked that. Oh, sure, sorry. Sorry, really loud.
Kathy Stobrel.
When you asked that question, I was thinking, how do I say this? You were asking, is there someone that comes in and then as blind and then it's reversed, right? So I think that there has been stories, and Janet, you can verify this, where I know personally one of the employees that I work with, he came in because he was told his vision would get better. And unfortunately, it was the reverse. He'd gone to all types of doctors and he was born sighted. I mean, he had no idea. And then in his 20s, he started to get blurriness, so he started to go to doctors, and he lives in Chicago. So I'm sure he went to I'm assuming very good eye clinics. When he went to the Lighthouse, and we have a low vision clinic, as Dr. Szlyk mentioned, a Dr. Pangier saw him and he said, you know what, I'm really sorry. Your vision is going to progressively get worse. It's probably, you will have no vision within the next year to two. So he found that out in that office, but all his life from, he's actually probably the last 20 years, he's been told it's going to get better. It's just not, you're never going to lose all of it. It's going to be a little bit blurry, but I'm giving you the opposite story of what you asked, and maybe Janet has something else. I'm giving you the sad story, but the good news, I did. And the good news is he is, and the good news is our doctor in the clinic went to HR. He was very, very upset, very brilliant guy, right? And he did analytics. So he was our data analytics. So he was used to spreadsheets and numbers. So what happened is the doctor went to the HR department and said, I got a great employee. Can you guys use him? And that was right when we were starting our call centers 10 years ago. And I said, we need supervisors because we have all these people to manage. So we hired him as a supervisor. He actually was promoted probably 4 times into a VP of call center implementation. So all the call center contracts that we got, which are 15, probably more throughout the years, he implemented, he started them up. He got the technology ready, the reporting ready, went to the clients, made sure that the CM system they used was accessible. So long story short, that in that clinic that we have, these are eye, I've been there for an eye visit because my mom has some eye disease. I've never sat in an appointment for 2 hours. I'm like, I don't think that anyone's ever looked at my eyes this thoroughly, but my point being is they diagnose things where another, doctor may have missed it. And that's what we're for. If someone tells you of a disease, you always go and get a second opinion, and that's kind of the story that I was trying to tell, but it was in reverse. So I don't know if you've ever treated someone or know of someone that was treated where they came in thinking they were losing their vision maybe, and we gave them something to see better, or if there's medicine, that's. Okay. What's it called?
An American man named Mike Myers.
Myers.
Champion in the skiing.
Yes.
In the United States, a very able blind person.
Mm-hmm.
But then he regained his sight.
Wow.
Completely confused. So there was no neurological structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is, there's also a Mike Mays. Yes, Mike Mays, which is interesting. So he had congenital cataracts. So he was born with, you see people who are wearing heavy glasses who are highly myopic. And I guess he was born at a point where he didn't have the cataracts removed at an early age. Now the cataracts can be removed and the child's corrected. But in those days, it wasn't done as readily. So he lived his life, think of it with blurry, very, very blurry vision. So he had light perception. He wasn't blind. And I actually know him, and he is a brilliant technologist. He's in the software. Yes, and has developed some extraordinary assistive technology for people who are blind. But so when he regained vision through stem cell surgery for his corneas, and he was able to see shapes, he didn't understand. He had to learn cognitively that a triangle has 3 points. He had to, like a stroke patient learns how to read and to speak, the same kind of, this brilliant man had to learn what he was seeing. And in essence, many people who are blind say, I don't want to change. I've adapted, like we were saying, and they don't want to have the recovery. But right now we're looking at gene therapies, stem cell therapies. We're impacting vision, and there will be fewer people who are profoundly blind in the future because of these techniques. And the Chicago Lighthouse has focused on the rehabilitation of those patients. So a lot of exciting things happen, but the point taken here, if you take anything home, all of this is supported through our social enterprises and that business, which not only provides great jobs, and the jobs are not only in customer service, but HR, IT, all of the areas that support accounting, support the social enterprises.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, just one point, I'm leaving some information up on the side if you want to learn. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Janet. We, some of our guests asked if you could possibly stay afterwards because they had some other questions.
I have cards as well, and Kathy has cards.
And our gift today is we have our mug from the Rotary Club of Chicago, so that you can have some wonderful coffee or tea, whichever it is. You will receive in the mail some cookies from Al's Cookie Mix. A friend of mine, Alvin Green, started a cookie company to help his son, who is autistic, and their friends have jobs once they age out of the CPS system. So here you go, and thank you so much. Unfortunately, since we are running a little behind and we have one more presentation, we're just going to say welcome to all our guests and visiting Rotarians and move on. And so now I would, Sarah, kind of to come up.
Okay, well, I am pleased to introduce to you our second scholarship winner from the Community Service Committee. So we awarded 2 scholarships in this inaugural round, and a couple weeks ago we met Susie, and today we're going to meet Joanna. So I'm going to bring Joanna up here to introduce herself, tell us a little bit about who you are and your history with service.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joanna J. I am a senior at Loyola University Chicago. I am currently studying human services and philosophy, and I will be graduating on May 10th. Thank you. Post-graduation, first of all, I'm from Chicago. I was born and raised here in Bronzeville, which is on the south side. And growing up in Bronzeville, unfortunately, I watched a lot of how inequalities, especially in healthcare and investment in education, kind of determine the quality of life you will have in Chicago, depending on the zip code you lived in or the school you attended. And I'm a Chicago public school alum. And when I went to college, I promised myself that I'll take everything that I learned in college and invest it back into my community. And one way I really pride myself in something I'm very proud of is participating in LUC for Edge. When a group of Loyola students, we volunteer every week and mentor at Swift Elementary. And we kind of just jump in and we give the children things that we wish we had grown up. So my mentee is Darius, and I've been working with him for a little bit over a year now. And we became like family. I studied abroad to Israel, Palestine, and I came back with Darius, and I just taught him a lot of things I've learned. And community service is really embedded into who I am and what I believe in. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. And I just want to say thank you for investing in my education and believing in me. And without it, I wouldn't be graduating. So thank you.
Okay, so again, thank you, Joanna, for joining us today. We're ecstatic to meet you. So I have another announcement to make. It is time again for our Rotary One CPS Opportunity Grants. So I think this is the 4th or 5th round, and it's always an exciting time for the Community Service Committee. So this is the point where you need to start sending out information to any teachers or administrators that you know in CPS. The RFP is out. It's available on the website. I'm going to start pushing it on social media as well. So this is for up to $3,000 that the teacher or the administrator can apply for a grant to enhance student learning. The due date this year is on April 9th. So again, please help us spread this message. I will be up here repeatedly telling you to help us spread this message. And then usually in mid-June, we invite the grant winners to come join us for a lunch. You can meet them as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. As always, every Wednesday, we have our volunteer opportunity at LaSalle Street Church to help either prep food from 2 to 5 or to serve our guests from 5 to 7:30. So please sign up for that. And Wes is going to come up and talk about our wonderful dictionary project.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, a number of you have heard me ramble on about this, so this is relatively short and sweet. The dictionary project provides age-appropriate dictionaries to 3rd grade students in the Chicago Public Schools. The kids, once they see the dictionary, love it. They really are enthusiastic about it. So it's very gratifying in that respect. What is required of you is to volunteer. I will assign you certain schools, usually 2, sometimes 3, generally close together. So you can do them all in one morning, which is what I've tended to do. Pardon me. I think the other thing that people sometimes struggle a little bit with is getting through to the school and making the appointments. Ted is here and he's been through this a number of times. Once you do it a couple times, it all becomes easy because you know who to ask for, what to say to them. And some of the schools will send you directly to the 3rd grade teacher, which is the best of all worlds, really. So let's get our hands up and volunteer. You can contact me either through our office or my email address is in the directory. I look forward to seeing all of you have as much fun with this as those of us who have done it have in the past.
Thank you, Wes. And he's right. Once the kids get those books, it's like an amazing light that turns on for them. And for so many of those students, they've had to share their books with their brothers and sisters. And we tell them, no, this is your book. You get to write your name in the book and it's yours. And they're so ecstatic. And so also it is now time for our wonderful Job One program. So we are looking for employers and students. So while you're reaching out to teachers about CPS opportunity grants, tell them their students can apply for a summer internship. Let's work together. One great email. But you can reach out to Rob Harney or the office if you know of any employers that would like to take a student or any employers who would like to sponsor a nonprofit so that a nonprofit can have a student. Especially like last year, 2 years ago, we had Pause they can't pay for interns. So the club sponsored 50% and one of our members sponsored the other 50% so that Pause was able to have a student that summer. So we are also looking for employers for that. And we turn 119 years old next Friday. Woo! We look good for our age. So it is time to everybody to buy your tickets. As Sarah likes to say, it is food, fun, and Fernando Jones, an internationally known blues artist, will be there to perform at the event. So we would love to have people come out to the Beverly Art Center. We're going to have it in Beverly, the birthplace where the Paul Harris House is less than 5 minutes away, all of where Rotary started. And Rotary means business fellowship. I like to thank those who were able to come out. It was a great opportunity and a great way for us to meet new people, talk about our businesses, and much like Rotary, start a relationship building, networking opportunity for Rotarians and non-Rotarians to get together, to learn about each other and want to start to do business together. And please, as we always say, donate to the Rotary Foundation and the Rotary One Foundation. That is how we do the work that we do locally and internationally. Our wonderful Job One program would not exist without our Rotary One Foundation, without the Women in Rotary Fund that funds our scholarships. So please be sure to make sure you donate to the foundation. And if you had a great time, invite more people to come out. We have great meetings, we have a great time, and all of our wonderful recent speakers, we have great speakers, and we should invite more people out to see the great things that we do. And our gyrator is a QR code. If you did not receive the gyrator, please, and it's also on your tables. Also on your tables in the middle are wonderful little piggy banks. So if you would like to take your spell, dimes, nickels, dollars, checks, and put a donation into the piggy banks, we will make that donation to the Chicago Lighthouse from Rotary. These are our upcoming committee meetings, and soon to be Job One will be up there. Our committees are always looking for great new members to come and be a part. Friday, we always have our round table where we just come in and socialize and have a great lunch upstairs on the 4th floor. Next Tuesday, Fernando Jones is going to be here to talk about what he does and his wonderful blues camp that we've supported for 3 years now, for the last 3 years. And then you get to hear him perform on Friday. Look at that. It's all the great things. Richard Siegler will be here on the 27th. And Jetta Bates will be here on March 5th. It'll be off-site because that's our first Tuesday. And she will have she'll be a part of our Carl Zimmerman Entrepreneurship Series, in which we will talk about some great ways for entrepreneurship. And with that, if everyone could stand so we can end our wonderful meeting with the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. And number 4. And because we like it, number 5, will it be fun? And with that, I close the meeting. Thank you.